Larry, your initial run as the Soup Nazi took place November of 1995. That is when the Soup Nazi episode aired, and there was really no inclination at the time that the Soup Nazi would be a recurring character, but the character did come back for one final appearance on what would be the final episode of the show, which aired 15 years ago today. Describe to us what the feel was when you got the call to be a part of the final episode, which ultimately had a plethora of guest stars from the show's past make appearances.
Well, I was actually doing my job that we discussed, and I was at a courthouse pulling some files and doing some work, and my manager called me on my cell phone, and she just said, I just got a call from Mark Hirschfeld's office, that's the casting office, and they want to know if you'd like to be a part of the Seinfeld final episode. And I just said, are you kidding me? Because, I went, it was almost 3 years without them doing a second Soup Nazi episode. And I just said, I'd love to. And she hung up the phone, and here's the way the story goes. As soon as she hung up the phone, Entertainment Weekly called and asked her if I was going to be a part of the Seinfeld finale, to which she said yes. We just agreed to it. And she hung up the phone, and the very next call was the casting office again, who said, oh, by the way, this is a major industry secret, like the biggest secret of all time. So don't tell anybody, and tell Larry, he's going to have to sign some confidentiality agreements. Don't tell anybody that he's going to be a part of the finale. And we had already blown it. So when Entertainment Weekly came out, they had a story about, well, at least we know that the Soup Nazi's going to be back.
Was there any backlash you received from anyone in the casting department as a result of that going out there?
No, thank God nobody said anything to me. I thought they were going to turn around and just fire me for that, and just say, well, now there's no need you being on it, whatever. But thank God nobody ever said anything to me about it. But it was weird because the very first day of work was a location scene. We shot it at Warner Brothers. It was the scene that had music over it when the jury was out. And they were kind of showing what everybody was doing in this little New England town. And, of course, if you remember, there was a little bed and breakfast, and the Soup Nazi was serving soup to a few of the other characters like Poppy. And, Poppy wanted salt and pepper, so I took his soup away. And that was the first thing we did. And it was crazy. We had to drive into a covered parking lot, park our cars, and get in vans that had no windows, like secrecy, and drive into the studio, because there would be paparazzi everywhere trying to take pictures and see who was working on the finale. And that was really funny, too, because I was in the van alone with Grace Zabriskie, who played Susan's mom on Seinfeld, and we drove in there, and the van dropped us off at a sort of a wagon train of little honey wagons, all the dressing rooms for all the different characters. And I walked Grace to her little trailer, and she went in. And then I walked all the way around looking for a trailer that either said the Soup Nazi or Larry Thomas, and there wasn't one. So I got all the way back to her trailer, and she opened her door, and she said, what's the matter? And I said, I think they forgot me. There's no trailer here for me. And she goes, what? That's ridiculous. They wouldn't forget you. And she took me by the hand and marched me over to an AD, and she said, did you guys forget Larry's trailer? And the AD said, no, I hope not. So she went off for a few minutes, and when she came back, she goes, no, it's right over here. And she took us to a trailer that said Yev Kasem on the side. And I went,
you're right, that was an unveiling in the episode, the Soup Nazi's real name.
Yeah, and because they weren't giving us any scripts or anything, we didn't know what was said in the script. I think what they did was they faxed us our own lines only. So we were to memorize our own lines but not know anything else. and it was really funny. So then I found out that my name was now Yev Kassem, and we shot that scene, and then everything else we did was on Soundstage 9, where they did everything else on Seinfeld.